Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder why you sometimes choose to stay in the dark, even when the truth is right in front of you? This new study dives into the fascinating world of information avoidance and why we might deliberately keep ourselves in the dark. So imagine this, that a certain piece of information could be really important, maybe even life-changing, but you just don't want to know, you actively avoid it. This isn't about being forgetful or lazy, it's about making a conscious decision not to seek or use information. Why do we do this? That's the big question researchers Gabriela, Czarnek, Katarzyna, Jasko, and Arie Kruglanski set out to explore. Instead of looking at a bunch of separate reasons for avoiding information, they proposed a single overarching theory to explain it. They call it lay epistemic theory. And it basically says that our decisions about seeking or avoiding information are driven by our needs related to certainty. They identified two main drivers. The first is the need for specific certainty, which is a directional motive. This means we want to believe something specific because that belief leads to a desirable outcome. Think about wanting to believe your favorite political candidate is honest, or that a healthy diet is actually bad for you because you love junk food. The content of the belief matters here. If we suspect new information might challenge our preferred belief, we might just not look. It's like having a favorite sports team and deliberately avoiding the news after they lose a big game. You don't want to confirm the bad news. The second driver is the need for non-specific certainty. This is different here. It's not about a specific belief, but about the feeling of being certain. We want to be sure, to have confidence in our opinions, regardless of what those opinions are. So, if new information might introduce doubt or make us less sure about something we believe, we might avoid it, even if that information isn't necessarily bad news. It's about maintaining a sense of solid ground in our beliefs. And here's a really interesting twist. Sometimes people actually want to avoid certainty. They might enjoy the mystery, the anticipation, the surprise. Think about not wanting spoilers for a movie or a book. You want to experience the story unfold without knowing the end. This is also about non-specific certainty, but on the other end of the spectrum. So these two motivations, directional for specific beliefs and non-directional for general certainty, can push us towards avoiding information. And importantly, these two can sometimes be in conflict. Imagine you're a smoker, you have a cherished belief that smoking isn't that bad for you because it helps you relax. That's a directional motivation. Even though you might generally want to be certain about your health, the desire to maintain that specific belief about smoking helping you relax might win out. You avoid the scary cancer statistics. But sometimes that need for general certainty takes over. You might seek out information that confirms your overall worldview, or you might avoid even good news if you think it will mess with how sure you feel about things. The researchers argue that this theory is simpler and more powerful than previous explanations that looked at lots of different motives. It gives us a unified way to understand why we hide from information. They also make some interesting predictions. One is about how our existing beliefs affect whether we avoid new information. They suggest that people with very strong, well-formed beliefs, like experts in a field, might avoid new information not because it's bad, but because they see it as irrelevant or potentially confusing. They want to maintain their coherent understanding of the world. However, even experts can avoid information if it threatens their identity. If accepting new evidence means admitting you were wrong, or that your expertise isn't as solid as you thought, you might resist it. It's like saying, I don't want to hear that. It makes me feel less smart. Another prediction is about how we view the source of information. They believe that if you're avoiding information for that specific directional reason to protect a cherished belief, you might be more likely to avoid it if it comes from a highly credible source. Why? Because credible information that contradicts your belief is harder to dismiss. It poses a bigger threat. But if you're avoiding information because you just want to feel certain in general, you might actually welcome information from a reliable source, because it will likely increase your overall sense of certainty. So, it is not just what information we get, but where it comes from and how it fits with our deeper motivations about certainty. They also touch on modern examples, like how personalized chatbots can be really persuasive. This might make people even more likely to avoid engaging with them if they feel those AI systems could powerfully challenge their core beliefs they're motivated to protect. And here is another interesting point. Sometimes we avoid information simply because it's not relevant to us, like skipping an ad for something we'd never buy. This might seem trivial, but the researchers argue that if it's a deliberate choice to ignore it, it still falls under the umbrella of motivated ignorance. We're choosing to focus our mental energy elsewhere. So, what's the takeaway? This research offers a really neat framework. By looking at just two core motivations, the need for specific certainty and the need for non-specific certainty, we can explain a whole range of why we sometimes sometimes choose not to know. It's not always about being scared or lazy, but often about managing our beliefs and our sense of confidence in the world. The researchers point out that many other motives previously identified fit neatly into their two categories. For example, wanting to avoid bad feelings about a future event is about specific certainty, while wanting to maintain a general sense of confidence is about non-specific certainty. Essentially, they're saying that instead of a long list of reasons, we can boil it down to these two fundamental drives related to certainty. This helps us understand not just why we avoid information, but how we process it and how it affects our emotions. And they even hint at how this applies beyond individuals to societal issues like censorship or spreading doubt about scientific consensus. The underlying motivations to protect the group from unwanted beliefs or to protect members from inaccurate information might be similar. This study is really thought-provoking because it highlights how our minds work to protect our existing mental structures, sometimes at the cost of valuable information. It reminds us to be aware of our own tendencies, to avoid things we don't want to hear, and to question why we're making that choice. Are we protecting a specific belief we really care about? Or are we just trying to maintain a general sense of certainty? Or perhaps even enjoying the mystery? Understanding these underlying motivations is the first step to making more informed decisions, even when the truth might be a little uncomfortable. This research opens doors to understanding how we can encourage more open-mindedness. Maybe by helping people feel more secure in their ability to handle uncertainty, or by framing information in a way that doesn't feel like an attack on their core beliefs. So, what do you think? Have you ever found yourself deliberately avoiding information? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab for more science insights and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.